Joined now by QB1 Drake Lindsey. Drake heading into year 2 as a starter. I remember catching up with you at this event a year ago in Vegas. On the field, where do you feel like you've grown most in the last year?
Yeah, I think definitely, leadership-wise. I think it's super important. The year 1 to year 2 jump, you learn a lot about yourself and, how you were as a leader. And I, did a really good self-diagnosis, I felt like. And I think I got to do a great job of, getting our players to an elite level every single week and holding them accountable.
You had a busy summer, a busy off-season. You spent some time at the Manning Passing Academy. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was awesome. As a kid, I always dreamed of being there, and getting to, be a counselor at that was such a blessing. Really learned a lot from the Mannings, and I really appreciate them for having me out.
You return your offensive coordinator, Greg Harbaugh Jr. How big is that, and how would you describe your guys' relationship?
Yeah, it's huge. Going on year 3 in the same offense is always a blessing. Get to sustain with him and build a personal relationship with him this offseason even better than it was before, which I think is so crucial. And just getting really comfortable with each other. I think year 1 to year 2 you can grow a lot as being open and comfortable with what you like in the offense, what you think you need to get better at, and we've done a great job of that.
Looking at your offense as a whole, you guys return a lot of experience and production, starting with running back Darius Taylor. Him being able to catch passes out of the backfield, how beneficial is that for you?
Yeah, it's huge. I think Darius is such a huge factor within our offense. And him getting to get out of the backfield and make plays with his hands is really special. And then his balance is one of the craziest things I've ever seen, bouncing off tackles, staying on his feet. But also I think his pass protection, which not everybody talks about, is one of his highest upsides. He gets out of protection really fast if he can, but if he's going to stay in, he's going to deliver a hit for sure.
So if the defense is focused on stopping the run, you look to your outside, Jalen Smith, Javon Tracy back as well. Having that duo back on the outside, how big is that?
It's huge. I think you build that, comfortability with them as well, where you're on the same page, and I really appreciate them so much. They've been so open, what they're seeing, how they feel about each throw, each route, and we've definitely grown a lot this offseason.
Your offensive line welcomes back a bevy of starters from last season. You got a preseason All-American in Greg Johnson. I'm curious, I wanted to get your thoughts on Greg. I know he's kind of a quiet guy with us media folks. What makes him so special, so talented?
Yeah, I think he's been the same guy every single day, which I love so much about him. He works his butt off. He's a super good leader. He's really vocal, actually, when we get on the field. He holds me accountable every single day, too, which I love. He doesn't do anything different with me. He treats me the same way as he treats everybody else. So I think, him being the same guy every day for the players and the coaches has really built this offense up.
And Ashton Beers back at center from your position. How big is that?
Huge. I think when you're returning a starting quarterback and a starting center, ultimately gives the play caller a lot more, upside too as well. Him being comfortable with me and Ashton being comfortable with each other is huge. He always does a great job talking to me during the play, making sure the checks are right, all those kind of things.
Get you out of here on this, Drake. Last season, you guys were 0-5 on the road. What's the biggest key to changing that and finding more success on the road this season?
Yeah, I think just it starts with Eastern Illinois with a 1-0 mindset and then taking it from there. But I think, just continuing to focus on our details and technique. I think it's not a home or a road thing, but we got to definitely focus on it.
Perfect. Drake, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.